You, my love, have learned that you cannot stay where your love is taken for granted, that you cannot remain where somebody's choice is indecision. And you are realizing that on the other side of choosing yourself is being chosen fully and wholly by somebody. Angels, what can you tell us about what is taking place for you in love right now? I'm definitely seeing a heart opening. There's a heart opening. Something unexpected coming in for you. We have the Sun and the Eight of Cups. Your heart is opening. Expansion is taking place. You are realizing that you are free. You are free to experience abundance, but it feels as if you have finally realized that you cannot be the one to put in all the work, and you cannot be the one to make all the effort. And the Six of Wands, that's that victory energy, my love. You are realizing that you have a new beginning in love. That it just feels like the universe is about to surprise you in the best possible way. I feel like you are somebody who you have a very deep level of acceptance and appreciation when things don't go your way, because you understand that the universe is bringing in something so much more than you could have even imagined you would experience. Somebody let you down. Somebody left you in this energy of indecision. But somebody else is very certain and very clear. You're receiving clarity in love. You're receiving commitment and devotion. You are shedding such powerful layers of yourself and coming closer to this realization of like, you don't deserve to be an option. You don't deserve to feel like an option. I think at the end of the day, we all have choices to make, right? But you shouldn't be left feeling like a choice to somebody. It's very easy to choose you. It's very easy to love you. And I feel like that's what you're about to be shown. Angels, tell me more. The Queen of Cups. You are deeply intuitive and sensitive. I was going to say sensual, so you might consider yourself very sensual too. But you are an intuitive, sensitive, and sensual individual. And you've worked very hard to become who you are. You have worked very hard to move beyond fear and remain soft and remain connected to your emotions. There's really, as I'm splitting the deck, there's this energy of like you have been undervalued in the past or just taken for granted and made to feel like you are not worthy. But what this new love offers you, the Six of Cups, the Three of Cups, and the Ace of Wands, what this new love offers you is a chance to start again, a chance to renew your faith and hope in love, and to recognize that it's very easy to love you. In fact, I'm kind of getting this energy of this person that is entering your life and they're confused about they're confused about your experience in love. They're confused about why anybody would treat you the way that you've been treated before. And like I'm hearing this person say, well, I can do that. That's easy. Yeah, I can be that for you. It's really not that hard. Like, the fuck? I don't know. This person, that's not my language. So it's, I don't want to say it's mainstream, but like this person is very, very in the real world, I would say. They're not whimsical. They're not very magical. They're very logical, but their logic makes sense. They're not clouded by judgment or wounds of the past. They are deeply understanding of you and themselves, and it shows in how this person shows up for you. I'm going to dive into this reading in an extended reading. If you would like to receive that extended reading, comment Angel Tarot and I'll send you the link that gives you access to the community in which I post them. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, choose the premium membership of that community. I wish I was recording right before I started this. The Lovers came right out, and the reason why I'm kind of blown away by this, as well as the Six of Cups here. So this card to me is a symbol of inner child. It's like nurturing your inner child, showing love to, giving your inner child everything that you never received. And six is closing out of cycles. So this to me is a closing out of a cycle of not giving yourself the love that you deserve. And with the Lovers card here, this tells me, this is why it's crazy to me, because I just finished watching a reading, it was a meditation about kind of changing your mindset around the way that you view love. And what she did was have you imagine your highest timeline, imagine your dream life with your dream partner, and your dream partner just nurturing you, loving you, giving to you, you being in that soft receiving energy. And this is the card that came right out. And when I opened my eyes from that meditation, it was like, wow, I genuinely believe that this is what is coming in for me, that this is the love that is attainable for me in this lifetime. And if you're anything like me, then maybe you've struggled with your self-image or your self-worth, and it feels like this is no longer going to stand in the way of you receiving this love because you know what you deserve. With the Hierophant card here and the King of Swords. Whoa. Okay, so this King of Swords is extremely significant. Wow. I need a moment. I'll explain why this is significant. I very rarely allow other people to read for me because you shouldn't do it so often. It's one thing to flip through the readers on social media, but it's another thing to actually have somebody sit down and read with you. Well, I think it's important to do it every once in a while. You need to be conscious of how often. And the only time that I've ever had somebody read for me, this was the card that came through for my future love. And it was basically this idea that it will happen when they are ready. Not when you are ready, but when they step into their power, when this divine masculine is ready to be what you need, to be that provider, that emotional stability. And this person is not going to need to question. Like, they are going to see you and they are going to know. And they are going to know when it is the right time to act, because you are not somebody that they are willing to lose. Yeah, the King of Wands, they want you and they are ready for you. Beloved soul, if this message spoke to your heart, do not let it pass by without receiving it. Take a moment right now and declare these words with faith. Faith, I am chosen by God. I am deeply loved. I am not forgotten. My journey has purpose. My divine love story is unfolding according to God's perfect plan. If this message blessed you today, share it with someone who needs encouragement. There is a soul out there who may be losing hope, questioning their worth, or wondering if God still sees them. Your share could be the reminder they need that they are loved, chosen, and never alone.
And if you feel called to support this ministry and help us continue sharing faith-filled, uplifting messages with people around the world, you can do so through a super thanks. Whether your gift is $5, $10, $20, or any amount God places on your heart, know that every act of generosity helps us reach more with messages of hope, love, and encouragement. May God bless you abundantly, multiply every seed you sow, and pour His favor upon your life. Together, we are building a community of faith, walking in love, trusting God's timing, and encouraging one another to fulfill the purpose He has prepared for us. There is a moment, quiet, unmarked, not particularly dramatic from the outside, when something changes. Not the moment you decided to leave. Not the moment you finally said enough, or the moment you stopped reaching out first, or the moment you deleted the messages or put the photograph somewhere you would not see it every day. Those are all real moments and they matter. But the deeper moment, the one that actually changes things at the level that counts, is different. It is the moment you stopped arguing with reality. The moment you looked at what was actually in front of you, not the potential you could see so clearly, not the person they were when things were good, not the future you had constructed from hope and genuine love and a belief in people that has always been one of your most beautiful qualities, but what was actually there. The inconsistency, the indecision, the relationship with your time and your feelings that treated both as things that could be picked up and set down based on someone else's convenience. And instead of making one more case for why it should be different, you simply saw it. That was the moment. That is where this new story actually begins. I want to talk about what it cost you to stay soft through all of that, because I do not think enough credit is given to the people who choose to remain emotionally open, despite having been given every legitimate reason to close. You are deeply feeling, deeply intuitive, deeply connected to the interior life of your own emotions in a way that makes you both extraordinary to be around and, in the wrong hands, vulnerable in ways that are specific and consequential. You feel things before you can explain them. You know things before you can prove them. You carry a quality of emotional intelligence that most people only develop, if at all, after years of deliberate work, and you carry it naturally as simply part of who you are. And you did the work anyway. The work of staying over and over to bring your full self into connections that did not always have the capacity to receive. Of remaining available to being moved, to being hurt, to being loved imperfectly by people who were trying with what they had, even when what they had was not nearly enough. That kind of sustained openness in the face of sustained disappointment is not weakness. It is one of the harder forms of courage available to a human being. But here is what that openness produced in you that the people who undervalued you never got to see the full consequences of. It made you someone who, when given the right conditions, flourishes in a way that is almost impossible to look away from. The warmth you have been giving to people who could not hold it is not gone. It was never wasted in the way that it felt like it was wasted. It was practice. It was the development of a capacity to love that is now at this particular moment in your life, reaching a kind of fullness that changes how you move through the world. People are noticing it, not because you are performing anything differently, but because something internal has shifted, a quiet settling into yourself that produces a quality of presence you cannot manufacture. The kind that comes specifically from someone who has stopped abandoning themselves to keep others comfortable, who has made the particular decision, perhaps for the first time, genuinely and without reservation, that they are not willing to be an option. You don't deserve to feel like someone's maybe. And I think somewhere in your bones, you have finally stopped pretending that you do. The person who left you in indecision, who kept you in the particular exhausting limbo of not quite being chosen and not quite being released, they were not a villain. Most people who do that are not. They are simply someone who could not decide, whose ambivalence was real, whose feelings existed, but whose willingness to commit to those feelings with action and consistency was not equal to what you needed or to what you deserved, and you waited. With the grace and the patience and the particular quality of love that believes in people, that extends the benefit of the doubt far beyond what most would consider reasonable. You waited while they decided. You made yourself available while they weighed you. You continued to pour while they continued to evaluate. And now you are done. Not bitterly. That is the part that matters most. Not in the hardened, self-protective way of someone who has decided love is not worth the risk, but in the clean, clear, self-respecting way of someone who has simply updated their understanding of what they are willing to accept and found that what was being offered no longer meets that understanding. That is not closing. That is discernment. Here is the deep realization that I think quietly reorganizes everything else. The cycle that is closing is not just about that person. It is about something older, something that runs through your entire history with love, possibly through your entire history with being cared for. A pattern of giving love freely and generously and receiving it in diluted, inconsistent, often conditional forms, and telling yourself that this was simply the nature of love. That love was inherently asymmetrical. That the person who cared more was always going to be you. That pattern is what is actually ending. Not through the removal of one person, but through the closure of the internal agreement that made accepting that pattern feel normal. The agreement you made somewhere along the way that you should work harder and need less and make yourself easier to love by requiring less of the love you were given. The agreement that your particular depth and sensitivity and emotional fullness was something to be managed rather than celebrated. You are releasing that agreement. In real time, with every day that you choose yourself rather than waiting to be chosen by someone who cannot quite decide. And into the space that release is creating, something very different is moving. Someone who, when they hear about how you have been treated, is genuinely confused, not performatively outraged, not strategically sympathetic, actually confused in the way of someone who looks at the evidence of you in that sense and finds it genuinely incomprehensible that a person of your quality would have been handled carelessly. Their internal response is something close to, that doesn't make any sense. Because from where they are standing, loving you is not complicated. Showing up for you is not a burden. Choosing you is not a difficult decision that requires extended deliberation. It is obvious. The simplicity of that, the ease with which they see what others struggled to see, is not because they are better than the people who came before. It is because they are ready in a way the people who came before were not. They have done enough of their own work, settled enough of their own wounds, developed enough genuine self-knowledge that your depth does not destabilize them. Your needs do not overwhelm them. Your emotional fullness does not make them feel inadequate or pressured. It makes them feel at home. I want to speak directly to you now because this next part matters more than almost anything else I could say. You have struggled quietly and privately with the belief that you are actually deserving of the love you want. Not the love you have accepted, but the love you actually want. The kind that is easy and consistent and full, and that meets you without requiring you to compare yourself or justify your needs or be grateful for less than what you asked for. That struggle, that private gap between what you desire and what you believe is genuinely available to you is what is closing now. Not because someone is arriving to prove your worth to you, but because you are proving it to yourself daily in the small and large acts of no longer accepting what does not meet the standard of what you know you deserve. And that proof is accumulating into something solid enough that the old story, the one that said love like this is for other people, not quite for you, is becoming impossible to maintain against the weight of who you are becoming. The person moving toward you is not whimsical or otherworldly. They are practical, grounded. Someone who operates in reality rather than in the comfortable abstractions of potential and almost and someday. And that groundedness, which might sound like a limitation compared to the more romanticized versions of love you may have previously known, is actually one of the most important qualities they carry. Because grounded people do not leave you wondering. They do not communicate an ambiguity or signal in ways that require extensive interpretation. When they are in, they are in. When they say they want to be there, they are there. The stability they offer is not the exciting instability of uncertainty. It is the deeper, more sustaining security of someone who simply does what they say and says what they mean. That is what is coming. Reliability. Consistency. The experience of being someone clear and unhesitating, yes, they will know when they see you. Not in a vague, intuitive sense. In the specific, visceral, immediate sense of someone whose recognitions arrives before deliberation has a chance to intervene. And the recognition will come with an equally specific understanding that they are not willing to risk losing you. Not through inaction, not through the comfortable luxury of continued evaluation. They will move. When the time is right, their time, not the time you have been expecting, or the time that impatience might prefer, they will move. And the certainty they bring will be unlike what came before it, unlike the hedging and the mixed signals and the this is meaningful, but I am not sure how meaningful. Unlike the love that always kept one foot out the door, this will be both feet in, completely, without the reservation that characterized everything before it. What is approaching is the answer to a question you have been carrying longer than you realize. Not the question of whether you are lovable. You have always been lovable, even in the seasons you doubted it most. But the question of whether love could actually be easy. Whether there was a version of this, of being genuinely met by someone, of being chosen without having to campaign for the choosing, of being loved in a way that felt less like a negotiation and more like simply being received. That was real, and not just a story people told to comfort themselves. It is real, and it is arriving in the life of someone who finally, genuinely, in the deepest part of themselves, believes they deserve to receive it. That someone is you. And the day you stopped waiting to be chosen was the day you became someone impossible not to choose.